Controversial opinion. MCU Disney Plus shows are way better than the movies. I've been an MCU fanboy since the beginning. I've actually been in love with every modern Marvel movie since Blade came out in the 90s. There have been some high highs and some low lows. I'm looking at you, Elektra. But we've managed to survive it all. And we finally got a fairly consistent slate of quality superhero movies with the MCU. That being said, the Disney Plus MCU shows are light years ahead of the movies. I know, you're probably sharpening your pitchforks and ready for writing up your memes of James Gunn's genius in the Guardians movies, just to point out how wrong I am, but I stand by my point. And in case you didn't hear me the first time, I'll even say it again. The MCU Disney Plus shows are way better than the movies, and the reason is simple. Until Phase 3, the movies had been some of the most mediocre action flicks out there. Let's be honest, if you take a second to think about it, you'll agree with me. As a Marvel Comics fanboy and avid collector, nothing was more exciting than seeing these heroes on the big screen. Even before the MCU, I gave the movies some slack when it came to adapting my favorite heroes. When Hugh Jackman's Wolverine popped in the first X-Men, I was okay with the fact that he was a giant 6-foot monster and not a tiny dwarven Canadian. And when Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came out, I was just so happy to see Spidey web-slinging around New York that I forgave the cringier moments like the raindrops keep falling on my head montage, which completely took me out of the movie. When the MCU debuted with Iron Man, we were in for a real treat in the form of Robert Downey Jr.'s sassy, insult-slinging Tony Stark, but that was about the only interesting twist on the film. The rest of the first Iron Man movie was a play-by-play numbers action flick. And dare I say, the MCU only got more mediocre from there. The Incredible Hulk, Thor, Iron Man 2, and even Captain America. The first Avengers showed that. I mean, all those movies were alright, I guess. I loved them because it was great to see Steve Rogers throw his shield at a Hydra agent and not look super cheesy. But if I'm being honest, the joy of those flicks was found in finally seeing a decently budgeted version of the individual Avengers in a live-action movie. As far as the films themselves, I would have never watched them if they weren't about Marvel characters. Of course, the MCU matured and took some more risks in the next two phases. And Marvel, Phase 3, from Captain America Civil War to Avengers Endgame, has had some of my all-time favorite action movies. But even those films cannot compare to the Disney Plus shows. It would be really hard for the movies to win, too. The TV shows are taking some of our favorite characters, Loki, Winter Soldier, Falcon, Baron Zemo, and giving us so much more time with them. These are all secondary characters that we've only got to see a few minutes of in each movie, but in the series, we're given hours and hours of time to get to know them. By the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the MCU now has more screen time dedicated to Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes than the Incredible Hulk. Think about that. There's more content, stories, drama, conflict involving Sam Wilson, a sidekick for the first Captain America, than one of the most popular pop culture icons in the world, the Hulk. And these shows tackle some really hard-hitting issues. Let's just take Falcon and the Winter Soldier, for example. How would a Soviet assassin actually be able to adjust to life in the real world? Would he not be plagued with guilt? Would he be able to believe? Would he be able to bring relief to the loved ones of those he's killed? At this point in the MCU, those questions are more interesting than can Bucky beat up Falcon? And it goes beyond that too. Can Bucky be friends with Sam now that Steve is gone? Most importantly, why it isn't just a simple thing for Sam Wilson to pick up the shield and become Captain America. There's no way that the MCU would have been able to cover these issues in the movies. The fact that Disney Plus series are better than the films is probably due to more the fact that it's a 6-episode series, which would naturally be more interesting than a 2-hour movie. So in that way, this isn't really a fair fight at all. Still, the fact remains, the TV shows are better. Still, my opinion remains, the TV shows are more interesting. We're given more time to spend with these characters that we love. Now, let me know if you disagree or agree. I'd love to read your comments down below and you can let me know what you think. Do you enjoy the shows more than the movies? Do you feel like we get to go more in depth on everything with the shows? Or do you feel like it just allows them to add more filler when we could just get a 2.5-hour movie at most and really get everything that we want, action-packed and story-driven? Can't wait to read your comments. Catch you in the next video. Until then, remember, with great power comes great responsibility.